Hear the Crazy Asian podcast, so let's do this. So using Anchor app, press the plus button, record. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Sherm here, the Crazy Asian. Hope you're having a fantastic now the moment that you listen to this. Remember, we switched up the season here. We're in season number 2. So what that means is the themes are different. Monday is Monday Motivation, Technique Tuesday, We Want You Wednesday, Thoughtful Thursday, and Fun Friday. So today on Wednesday, I want to be able to just jump into the concept that how do you promote yourself when you want to get a job? And so where this comes from is this wonderful person here locally. Her name's Rachel, and she wanted to get a job at our organization, but went a little bit on the deep end of persistency became desperation, and unfortunately didn't listen to the process. So before jumping into her story and talking about how to avoid being overzealous in the interview process, let's first hear a word from our sponsor. So now what I'm going to do is I save it as the intro to interview process. And then it's processing right now. And then I'm going to add a click on for sponsorship. Here we go. Sponsored segment. And then we're about to go. So I'm just going to pause it here real quick. Ready to go back in. So part 2. All right. Thanks, sponsor. Really appreciate that. So now what we're going to jump into is the concept of what should happen in the interview process, just so you're aware. Typically, for us on our end, from the employer's perspective, we have 3 interviews. One first with the recruiter, second with me, third, it's either with me or if the managing director is in town, he will have that interview with the prospective candidate. At the end of each interview, there's basically homework to get done. The first one, online assessment. Second one, got to do some marketing pieces, create a marketing plan. Number 3, want to be able to then go and take some exams and pass them. So in this process, this individual who was interviewing with our organization went through the first interview, seemed really good. We're talking to the managing director about it, actually. She had some experience, so the recruiter didn't have did the interview over the phone, and then by the time the managing director was brought in, he was the second interview. Third interview was with the regional manager. So just a little bit different in this process, and it seemed like she seemed sharp. And then after the third interview, sent like a strange photo of her photoshopped on like a head coach running out of the tunnel for the Texas Longhorns, saying that she's ready to hit the ground running, which I guess that was in her mindset, the running piece. It was odd that she was holding her dog. It was just strange that she had sent it over, I guess, because it had some funness to it, but didn't really speak to the role. And so it's just kind of this weird, oh, okay, that's cool. And then she started to connect with individuals and in our organization and kind of ask them, hey, how do you think things are going? Am I still in the running? And then reached out to the managing director and was like, hey, what's the next move? I was thinking, hey, I'll shadow one of your employees. And he goes, well, before doing that, just understand I'm going out and I'm still interviewing other candidates for the role, and I'll reach out to you once I've made a decision. And literally within the next 12 hours, was reaching out to other people. Again, kind of asking where she was in the process. Shot another email about being able to do, something else in regards to shadowing or getting a part of the organization in some way. Like come check it out, see who she's going to be working with, stop by the office, that kind of stuff. And so, literally, just completely disregarded the advice of just wait, and we'll in that process. And so, what happened is her and the last one I think is that she had sent over, it was an image of her a profile photo with her wearing a hat saying, "Let's make the industry great again," which was an image from her from the managing director's office, which isn't strange to put that in, because that's a hat he has on his on his shelf. But it's just strange that it came after he had said, "Let's just, I'm taking the time to look at other candidates. This is the process. I'll get back in touch with you." So her persistency became so it became too aggressive, because she was instructed to wait and understand that she's not the only one in the process. And that was it was disappointing. She came across in that first interview sharp, ready to go, but it was not knowing what that process was. So if we look at it from her perspective, what she should have asked is, what is the next step? What's the next process? And then trusted and waited for them to go through that process, and allowed that to be able to work itself through. Instead, that over eagerness came across as crazy, too not too aggressive, but just not listening, right? So if so, and that's a concern from a coaching perspective, right? From a leadership perspective. Remember, a lot of the interview process is not just making sure you can check the boxes of getting the job done. It's, are you coachable for me to be able to help you get better? Because if the idea is that you're going to come here with all your talents and skills, which you do have, but you're not going to improve, then there's really not a lot of value here. We're in the business of building people, and that's what we do. And so that it just became a little disappointing. And so I'd put it out there from your perspective. If you're in the interview process, putting your best foot forward to avoid the Rachel episode, is what you want to be able to do is, in that interview, come on time, 15 minutes, 10 minutes early. I would go in that range for that first interview. Introduce yourself, shake hands with people, sit and wait, be professional, right? Know where you're interviewing, have on professional clothing. And in that interview, answer the questions as specific as possible, and then have some questions prepared. Know who you're sitting across from. Know what the role would require. Know the company. Be familiar with who they are. Check them out. And do a little Google research for about 5 or 10 minutes before you go into that interview, before you sit into their lobby. Understand that the moment that you step on their property or the parking lot, you're probably being watched. And so they're seeing if you're, grabbing a smoke. They're seeing if you're throwing trash on the ground. They're seeing how you walk into the office. And then after that, it's great to send a thank you email, a thank you note, to be able to be remembered. And then ask them, though, at the end of that interview, I really enjoyed talking with you. I want to move to the next step. What is the interview process like here? And guess what? If they don't have an interview process, maybe it's not the right place for you, because they're not organized enough to be able to help handle you and help build you to where you want to go. Hopefully, the example of Rachel can be a great example to the rest of us about understanding there is a process to interview. Shrimps out. There we go. Crazy Asian Podcast.